Earlier on, we did tell you that there is currently a leadership crisis rocking the National Hospital over who becomes the next Chief Medical Director. And our correspondent, Ugwuanyi, tells us more.
This is the National Hospital, Abuja, conceived as an apex referral hospital of the medical care in the West African sub-region. It is in the news now because since March 2022, it has operated without a chief medical director. At the heart of the problem is a controversy over the procedure for the appointment of the chief executive. In a letter to President Buhari, which has since become public, the chairman of the governing board of the hospital, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Patricia Ette, said a substantive CMD has not been appointed, owing to the aspersion cast by the health minister on the exercise conducted by a panel that was single-handedly constituted by him, comprising eminent Nigerians and chaired by the permanent secretary of the health ministry. It explained that 7 candidates underwent the interview processes, and out of the top 3, the candidate with the highest score was unanimously recommended for appointment. She said the recommendation was cancelled by the health minister because of a petition by a candidate who was earlier barred from participating in the process for not providing the requisite documents. In her words, this is regardless that the appointment of the chief medical director is the exclusive reserve of the governing board under the act establishing the hospital. She appealed to the president to approve the appointment of the recommended candidate in the interest of natural justice and the rule of law. The Abuja branch of the Nigerian Medical Association has also called on President Buhari and the Minister of Health to conclude without any further delay the appointment of a substantive Chief Medical Director for the management of the National Hospital Abuja. Arise News reached out to the Minister of Health, Ehanire Osage, who has not responded to our request for his side of the story. Ugwuanyi, Arise News.
Now joining us to discuss this issue is the chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, FCC chapter, Dr. Charles Ugwuanyi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today.
Now, exclusive reserve of the governing board, that's the right to appoint a CMD, the Chief Medical Director, and now when you hear reports like this about the association and about the health sector, it begins to boggle the mind what the association stands for and how you manage your internal politics. So what has been going on?
Well, the truth is that it's an act of parliament, and it's in the public domain that there's a governing board in most federal government institutions, parastatals, and their rules are clear-cut. So it is not in doubt whose responsibility it is to conduct the replacement of chief executives when the opportunity presents itself. And I do believe that the governing board of National Hospital have done their job. However, their job stops where another person's responsibility starts.
Right.
They've done their job creditably well, as you have seen presented, yes, but they don't have any powers to appoint.
They don't have any powers.
The powers they recommend. So the powers to appoint is vested in the presidency. However, the presidency will act based on recommendations from the board. The board are on the ground, they know the system, they know what works, and then they are custodians of the laws guiding the establishment. So they have applied those laws and conducted an exercise which they feel it is credible. And by the powers vested in them, yes, they have done their job and made the recommendations. What they are simply saying is that their recommendations should be respected. It should not be doctored at any point in time in order to prevent disharmony as far as industrial relations is concerned in such a high institute of healthcare service delivery. For us, in the Nigerian Medical Association, you know, we are drifting towards proactive management of crisis. We are not interested in whoever becomes CMD, but we don't want someone to become chief medical director and it creates crisis in the system. So what we are doing now, speaking up now, is that let it be on record that we were there, we monitored the process, and we spoke out. We spoke when we had to speak, so that the right thing should be done.
Okay, so the question now is, what is the right thing that should be done? Because like you have alluded to, the board actually carried out its own selection process some 5 months ago. So there's not been a substantive CMD at the National Hospital. So what is the right thing on the part of the NMA that should be done right now?
The right thing that should be done is that the due process and procedures, which has been duly conducted by a governing board whose statutory responsibility is to conduct this exercise. And they have done that to the best of their ability. They have submitted their recommendations for presidential accent. So it is improper to jettison that. It is also improper to begin to look for reasons at this point why you will not respect the work they have done. If you do that, in an institution like a healthcare delivery institution, you're going to cause a lot of crisis. Because you need to explain to Nigerians, why are you choosing someone who came last before someone who came first? So what is then the essence of conducting such an exercise? The healthcare delivery institution must not in any way be politicized.
Okay, I was coming there because at the end of the day, are there no clear-cut instructions or definitions of whose task it is to do what? Because at the end of the day, if it's not the exclusive right, I mean the government board, and it's the right of the presidency to choose or appoint a CMD, then why are they insisting that it's their right, exclusive right?
In my opening statement, I said there's a parliamentary act, Decree 36 of 1999. The hospital has been since 1999. We know that in Nigerian Medical Association, right? Now, this Decree 36 of 1999 has made it very clear that the role of the governing board is to interview people, conduct credible interview people and recommend the first three. Number one, who came first in this interview. Number two, who came second. Number three, the best three is presented to the ministry for onward transmission to the presidency. I believe they have done that. So it now beats our imagination. I mean, this is not the first time. This is not the only institution under our jurisdiction here in FCT. You have Federal Medical Center. They had a very peaceful transition just a few years back. The person who came first, Professor Saad, very excellent chap, he's sitting there today. There was no issue. National Hospital we're talking about, there has been a series of transitions from one CMD to another.
Well, this is
so
also
what is special about this one?
This is not the first time as well where we're seeing this kind of challenge with National Hospital, because from our research in 2021, there was a refusal of the board chair to actually honor the results of the chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee. But beyond that, so now let's look at the fact that the minister, Ehaniwe, had actually constituted that panel, correct me if I'm wrong, that was actually headed by the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health. They had actually screened 7 candidates from what we know, and of course recommended the 3, which is according to the law should be the right thing to do. So what exactly is going on? Why is the minister refusing to, forward these 3 names, and instead he's deciding to pick a different person that is not part of the top 3 as recommended by law? What exactly is going on with that situation? Let's clear the air right now.
Well, the truth is that from the NMA perspective, we do not know. That is why we are worried. Perhaps the minister himself or whoever is involved, will be the right person to provide the answers to those queries. But we, from the NMA point of view, we do not want crisis in our system. Okay. We are adopting a proactive approach. Okay. Because if there's any crisis, it is the Nigerian patients that will suffer. And that crisis may come up when there is a perception that what has been done, it's not right.
I'm happy you mentioned that. We just hope that this crisis will not distract the medical association from their primary duty of looking after patients.
That's the point.
And of course, saving lives. Well, yes. Dr. Charles Ugwuanyi, we'll have to say thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And hopefully we see an end to all of this, because of course, a hospital like the National Hospital, a chief medical director, substantive one, needs to be there to head it. News.